Everybody, welcome to another one of my Saturday whatevers. It was a mailbag for a short amount of time. It was, it's just been like a draft revolving door thing that Trey and I have been doing. It was a Las Vegas thing for a while. And today we're talking about, honestly, duos, which are an incredibly important part of basketball. One of the most important, the two-man game. The Raptors have stacked, at least from the outside looking in, a decent amount of talent on their roster. They've paid for it, they've brought it in, and they do have to work in the five-man context, of course, but it's incredibly important that they work in the two-man context as well. To join me, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself, man, because you're a burgeoning member of the Raptors creator class. So introduce yourself, plug yourself, and let everybody know exactly where to find you.
Yeah, so my name is Abdel underscore taco on Twitter. I was primarily on Twitter until a few months ago. I started making draft related content and hopefully just basketball soon related content. So I've been doing that last few months. Prior to that, I was just like kind of a fan on Twitter, Raptors Twitter, just enjoying living life. I was always into the draft, which started my channel. So it's kind of background about me. Channels Taco Takes as well. So we'll talk about that later, but you guys can check it out as well. So
Yeah, we'll get Abdel's his perspective on Colin Murray Boyles, who he did a great video essay on. And lots of people have watched it so far. Hopefully, a few more people after this, and also that makes his perspective, I think, a very interesting one. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is those duos, and what I really want to hear is the one that you're most excited for. Like, what is the duo that it doesn't have to be the best duo, but we're
yeah.
looking at a two-man game or interactions repeatedly that will lead the Raptors to success.
So yeah, the first one, I guess I would consider this the most exciting because overall I'm more excited about Ingram, I feel like, than most people. Um, Ingram and Jakob. So kind of the reasoning behind this was Ingram's, we already know he's a good pick and roll player. And also that kind of extends to handoffs. I think last year he was pretty good on handoffs. This year was kind of a bunch of stuff happened to him. But essentially, I think the vision is Jakob's always at the top of the key in delay actions, handing the ball off, right, in our offense. So if we can get Ingram running those handoff or pick and rolls, it'll allow him to get to like the free throw line nail area he likes the most, where he likes to pull up, either like pump fake, get to the line. It also could draw the big out. I was thinking as well. And then Jakob rolls hard and just crashes the glass. Right, he's probably a best offensive rebounder. Right, so that kind of dynamic, I feel like Scottie and Jakob are already good for similar reasons. But yeah, Ingram just gives a more polished, on ball handle pull up game. Right, so I feel like it'll be similar to Jakob and Scottie. Maybe a bit. I think Scottie's better, like getting the ball over he has more passing like angles, right?
Hmm.
But Ingram, I think he could just like similarly gel well with Jakob, right? And that could be like one of our best duos, right? Because they're gonna be starting most of the time. So I feel like him, Jakob and Ingram is like gonna be. I foresee like situations in the season that being our like if you look at those two-man lineups, our like most positive lineup, right? Similar
Mm.
to Scottie and Jakob. So that's why I'm most excited. Defensively, Jakob isn't as he kind of declined, right, as a rim protector. He can still move his feet okay. Ingram has moments on ball, so I guess I'm more excited for this offensively than defensively. I think it'll just be okay, solid, but there's nothing like, oh wow, I'm really excited about this defensively. So yeah, that's kind of my reasoning behind it. Is mostly the screen and roll, handoff, pick and roll game that he could work well with Jakob, right? So that's
Okay,
that's what I chose for my first duel.
that's a good one. I'll expand on it, but I guess your
Yeah,
your volume is a little bit low. Can you go to your settings, go to audio, and there'll be a mic
yeah,
volume bar. You can just pump that up, and then hopefully that'll be better. But to your point, I think the comparison between Scotty and Jakob is a really interesting one because obviously, as you say, Scotty as a passer is above Ingram as far as like especially the check down, two hands to the ball, go over
yeah,
top, check down pass, and obviously Jakob is great at receiving any type of pass in that regard. But on top of that, where that duo struggled in handoffs and pick and rolls is when Scottie couldn't beat the guy who stepped out or the push switch. And Ingram, I think, is one of the best players in the world at beating the push switch against a
Yeah.
big, whether it's, getting to the line because of his pump and drawing out obviously a contest, or whether it's like beating them, getting to his spot. I think that there's a lot of potential there. I guess since you're kind of higher on Ingram, let's stay there. What do you think is the sell for why you're higher on Ingram? Maybe not then, I don't know if it's then the Raptors consensus, but the NBA consensus, let's say.
Yeah, I feel like I'm higher than most people who like kind of like in the fan base. There's like some people who really just are either not excited about the trade or anything. I just feel like I don't think he's gonna be some sort of like all NBA lock type right, player. I think
Well,
you can
well,
make the
Mo
all.
Square, he
Yeah.
commented on our tweet. He said, "I guess my invite was lost in the mail." I know he is lower on Ingram than a lot of
Yeah,
people.
he's always a little bit yeah, like yeah, they just view him and like they bring up his efficiency as like oh, it's just mid efficiency and like, but I just feel like especially where we're coming from, right? And more, I
The
guess it's
worst. We're
selfish.
we're
Yeah.
coming from the worst.
Yeah, exactly. It's worse. Like when I come home or like when I want to watch Raptors basketball, I want to see competence, right? Someone on the ball, right? So he's definitely gonna bring that and a bit more. So I wouldn't say I'm like, oh, he's gonna be like a legit. Like I troll all the time saying he's gonna make All NBA 13, but like I think he's gonna be like we're gonna realize how bad we've been living. The type of beat. It's like okay, some guy who can handle the ball, run legit pick and roll, and pull up. Maybe not from three as much because our pull-up game, especially from three, was horrible last
Yeah.
year, right? So that's kind of in the realm of excited because it was just Scottie like getting the world put on his shoulders, right? So that was tough to watch game after game after game. So having someone else be able to do that, that's why I would say I'm higher on Ingram than most.
This is actually, we can take a little sidebar here, but medium efficiency scoring is back. Abre Los Ojos says this is something he's commented before, and also something that I think is a big part of NBA basketball in this new like hyper defense era. It's also why I'm higher on Gradey is like medium efficiency scorers who do really difficult scoring so that they can simplify roles for other players. I think is will be a burgeoning role because those
Hmm.
types of players definitely got kind of like eked out in like the 2010s basically, and then everything
Yeah.
became about hyper efficiency, where exactly you're taking it, but defenses responded, and now they know exactly the shots they want to take away. That's why you see Anthony Edwards' lack of prowess in the middle of the floor,
Yeah.
where that would have been a huge feature of his game in like 2017, because it would have been like, this guy doesn't take any bad shots. It's
Yeah. Yeah.
incredible. He's
Yeah.
perfect. But now it's like the guys who manipulate and navigate that, the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Wow, the guys, the
Yeah.
guys who dominate those parts of the
Yeah.
floor, they're a big deal. What do you make of the difficult shots, medium efficiency scorer as kind of like coming back into the fold for the NBA?
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Yeah, like you said, especially defenses are like they're getting so smart and they're basically like cutting off like most of the angles of attack that you want to do and like okay, we'll concede this, right? And sometimes it's kind of like you view as eating your vegetables. Like sometimes once in a while, you just got to take that tough shot. You got to do it just to be like I'm gonna do this, right? So you can like prompt a reaction and then go from
Yeah.
there. The moment you say you're not even looking at that, it happened even like Harden, right? Like there's years where it was just like step back three, floater, lob, right? And it's just mechanical. Even though it was so effective, like you
Hmm.
could see later on, like as things got like gunked down in the playoffs, it's like okay, we know he's gonna rotate between like these three options, right? That simplifies our like decision making process. Like we have to do, he's gonna do this, and this. Whereas if he sprinkled in a bit of like a pull up mid range or something like that every now and then, people are like, oh, okay, and have the gears thinking, because like the more layers you have to think about on defense, it slows the processing time essentially, right? Then you can like open more gaps. So it makes sense, I think, in my head, that medium efficiency. So I've always been like I'm not one of those guys who are like ball don't stop, but I've always been
Yeah.
more on the side of appreciating that than the guys who are just like, oh no, this is like dead. We're beyond that, right? We've evolved, right? So Yeah, that's what I think. I think it makes sense. So I would say I generally probably agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something I've always, again, not all the way to the ball don't stop aspect. And also
Yeah.
there's it's a little bit like it goes so far, you know what I mean? You get the Malachi Flynn post, you're like, man, and it's also it's a lot about how it looks rather than like
Yeah.
effectiveness, right? Like nobody cared when Rashawn Holmes was elite in the short mid range because he had that crazy, like that wasn't
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
sexy release valve. But it makes sense, whereas like Shea for this era dominating where he dominates
Yeah.
is that's the spot that the NBA is going to allow you to get to more often than not. And
Yeah.
obviously winning a championship with it. I'll go with my first duo that I have. It's not a star duo, but it is, hopefully in the future a star duo. We can all cross our fingers. But Gradey Dick and Colin Murray Boyles, for the simple reason that Gradey Dick, and this is why I'm still high on Grady despite the defensive struggles. And it's something like difficult shots mean that defenses care more about where you are. When defenses care more about where you are, other opportunities open for your teammates. That's why you can't just look like raw numbers, raw efficiency. And also
Yeah.
with the Raptors being ranked 30th in self-creation points per possession in the NBA,
It's
they
tough,
were
man.
far more reliant on their structure, like ergo Grady running off a pin down, sprinting
Yeah.
18 miles an hour into a three and shooting like 28% on those difficult shots. CMB, big boy who can threaten with the keeper, who can
Hmm.
threaten as like a guy who lays the ball into open space and finds the screen. Not exactly Demonis Sabonis, but in that
Yeah.
realm of, like decision making as a guy on ball. And when teams overload on the chase for Grady, opening up gaps, I think that symbiotic aspect of what they both require from a defense to guard is not going to be like a star outcome at all, but I think
Hmm.
represents an opportunity to be certain for both those guys to play well off of each other. I think they're a very
Yeah.
snug fit
Yeah.
on
For sure.
offense. And then also defensively, Grady needs a guy who can step out and watch his back.
Yeah,
And
he
Grady needs a
does.
guy who CMB is like made in a lab to help Grady Dick defend. Because if
Yeah.
Grady dies on a screen, he can jump out and set the
Right
edge.
there.
If Grady
Yeah.
gets beat on a line, who's the most likely to jump and be a guardrail in the lane? It's CMB. So from
Yeah.
that perspective, and they'll both be coming off the bench, I think that's one of the more interesting aspects of the Raptors to watch is like everyone's really excited for bench mob 2.0. However a person feels about it, however a person feels about it, people are
You gotta find a
excited.
better name,
Yeah.
man. You gotta find a better name.
a
That's all
new
I'm gonna
yeah,
say.
a new name. But that's one of the most exciting and enticing aspects of this Raptors roster, I think, is those two guys, and they're both very cerebral players.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
that's kind of where I'm going with it. How do you feel about that pairing?
Yeah, no, I thought about that as well because yeah, Grady's one of his defining traits is like his off-ball movement, right? And then you pair him with a guy like CMB who can like hold his position, make the passes. Like CMB is a good passer. I think like he's definitely not like Scottie level or anything. I think he's just like good, right? Nothing special, but he's just enough. The type of passes he's good at is what will fit with Grady, right? Where like on back cuts or coming off screen, especially like if he's coming hard off screen and CMB hands it off, he's so strong, right? Where like he could just hand it off to Grady, come around the screen, the guy just bumps straight into. We already saw in summer league the screens he was setting, right? So that'll fit really well. I think like yeah, and then defensively, yeah, like we've seen Grady get like smoked multiple times, right? And then you have a guy who just like a computer, just like boom, right there, right? To clean it up. So I feel like yeah, they fit together well. They'll play a lot together, hopefully, in the bench unit. I think that hopefully they become like our focus of our bench. So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
We have from YA. Are we sure RJ starts? Starting Ochai or Jacoby makes so much sense. Trey pitched this idea on our last episode, and while I can definitely see the process that brings about, like, as far as stacking skill sets in a lineup, what makes sense, and also bringing RJ, who definitely had is not, I wouldn't say a scoring leap, but a playmaking leap
Mhm.
last year and a meaningful one, putting him in the midst of the bench. Yes, I see it. I just don't understand how the Raptors get RJ to the bench without it being like a complete blow up of the locker room. You know what I mean?
No,
Where do you sit with that?
yeah. Like I think logically it makes complete sense, right? Because yeah, you have Scottie, Ingram handling the ball most of the time, then IQ like secondary behind the duties, and then you want more of a play finisher, I guess, right? Paired with them on the perimeter.
Also,
But
calling Ochai and Jacoby play finishers is like it's very kind to them, honestly.
yeah, exactly. That's true. And like that's what I was about to say. Of the people who are replacing RJ with, right? Maybe theoretically, the
Yeah.
players they can be. That's who we want. But the reality right now might not be the case. And then also, yeah, like how are you gonna tell? Imagine you're RJ Barrett, and we're like, we're gonna bench you for Jacoby and Ochai. Like, just imagine that, that news hitting you, right? It's like it doesn't make it like it's just not realistic at all,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So, yeah, like maybe because people were saying, oh, we're gonna trade RJ. If they end up trading RJ, that a player like that in that mold, maybe they can look for and like But yeah, I think RJ is gonna start. Like it's no question in my mind as long as he's on the roster, right?
Yeah.
So, um, yeah,
I feel the same way. It's just it's hard to even think how you pitch that.
yeah,
Because
you can't.
again, I like Jacoby's game. I like how it projects going forward. It projects as like, hey, this will be it's easy to see an NBA player there, a rotation
Yeah,
player there. But RJ Barrett just gave like what 21, 5 and 5. And I know
yeah,
from like the people who are looking at it, ideally some of that production is going to come down so you can replace it with more efficient production. All that,
hmm
yes, but the politics of it, and honestly, the
yeah,
reality of like RJ is just a better player than those
yeah,
guys.
exactly.
And telling him like, hey, it's not gonna be you, I think would just it
Yeah,
would be insane. It would be
yeah. Like
insane.
no basketball player is gonna accept that, right? Like it's just
And also,
impossible.
like,
So
yeah, the locker room wouldn't either. They'd be like, why
yeah,
did you do this to RJ?
exactly, right?
Because they think he's good too, man. You know what
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean?
right.
Yeah.
So it's just not realistic. So yeah, I think he's gonna start 100%. But yeah, like maybe next season, the player we look to pair on the perimeter, that would be more of a conversation, right? Yeah, I just don't think Ochai or Jacoby is like worth unsettling RJ, right? So
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. ND says if you pitched it as RJ being a prioritized option when he's on the floor, shouldn't that sell better than being the fourth option in his minutes with the starters? Yes, it should sell better, but it still doesn't sell well. Like being a starter means a lot to players. And also
yeah, yeah,
you could just have it that, and they probably will. RJ starts at the 7 minute mark or something. He comes out and then re-enters with bench units, and that's probably how it
yeah.
goes. But I, I also like I'm not exactly sure. I know that the hypothetical of these guys' skill sets make more sense, quote unquote. But again, it is meaningful that RJ was part of the Raptors' best defensive units. That's not me making the case that RJ was a huge
hmm
motivator, but he existed in them, and he's going to be part of their best units probably this upcoming season. I'd be surprised if he wasn't. He does stuff. It's
Yeah,
important
it
to do
does.
stuff.
And one thing is like if you look at the starting lineup, IQ, RJ, BI, Scottie, Jakob, right? RJ is really the only guy whose mindset is getting to the rim, right? Like everyone else loves to take pull-up jumpers, right? That's their game, right? So he actually, you can argue, brings more of like a skill set we don't have to the starting lineup, right?
Yeah.
So even though like the other fit concerns are like very clear, right? There's still stuff he can do, right, on the floor, as a starter. And yeah, like even if you sell them, like, oh, if you're actually on the bench, you get more of possession, more, bro. Like, starter is a starter at the end of the day,
Yeah.
and our team is not gonna be like a top four seed too, so you can't even do the winning sell, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Also,
tough.
like RJ, his efficiency went down and his efficiency as a driver went down, but that driving is what elevated his playmaking. Like, yes, the scoring numbers went down, but overall, he made
Mm,
steps as a player. One, two, he can hang on to that development with playing with better players who open up larger seams and can play off of his playmaking better. But three, when he's shooting, when like he sorted out his catch and shoot 3-pointer, it's passable at the very least now. He
Yeah.
runs in transition. He cuts. He does
Yeah.
cut. Working off these guys might actually be friendly to him. If it's 17 or 18 points per game on like close to 60% true shooting, I think
Yeah.
everyone will be gassed.
Everyone
4
would be
assists per
happy.
game.
Yes. Yeah.
Easy. All
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Give me
It's
that.
the
Give me
dream.
that second tandem, that second duo you got for us.
Yeah, so this one I got CMB and Mamu.
This one blew
It's
my mind when you brought it up, by the way.
I don't I mean I'm trying to I'm going too hipster mode. But I was just thinking about I don't know, I just like I'm like really high on CMB. So every time I think about the Raptors, he's like one of the top two, three players on my mind. So that's why I was like one of the guys I was making duos with. And they're thinking he's gonna be coming off the bench, right? And the big he's gonna be playing with most likely is Mamu, right? And so then I started thinking about that fit, and it makes some sense with some caveats where because I was watching Mamu, his jumper is so flat. It's actually crazy.
He so
Yeah,
much wrist on that thing. He
yeah,
is flinging it.
it's nuts. So I was like, man, because I thought he was like, oh yeah, he can shoot, but can he shoot? That's the question that kept coming to me. I was
He's a
like,
better
okay,
driver than he is shooter.
yes,
He's
yeah.
a
So
slick
then,
driver.
yeah, like I was like, okay, even if the jumper is just like okay, mid, like the fact that he can put the ball on the floor and like drive and make decisions will still it's still valuable as a spacer, right? People will still step up, right? Because of that, and he could take advantage of the space. So now I'm just thinking like if you have CMB Mamu 4-5. Then offensively, you have two guys who can handle, drive, make decisions, right? Mamu, hopefully, fingers crossed, can shoot, right? Then you're looking at a pretty good bench big combo. And then defensively, the concerns we have about Mamu, CMB just does this to everybody, right? The defensive concerns we have, Mamu, CMB can kind of mute those, right? So I feel like it's pretty interesting fit. So yeah, because the starters, we know what the starters are going to be. So I'm more interested in what's going to happen on the bench. And if that's our 4-5 duo off the bench, then it's like, okay, I think it'll be pretty fun to watch. So that's what I'm going to keep my eye on. So that's why I had my second duo.
Wow, I'll give you a little thumbs up on screen
Oh,
there.
wow.
Oh, yeah. So it's kind of funny. Mamu is it's kind of similar to the Gradey pairing in some sense, right? It's like
Yeah.
protect me on defense, help me out with spacing on offense. And also low key, it's kind of like this guy currently has more punch as a driver than he does as like strictly a shooter. Of course, like
Yeah.
the stats, Gradey when he got set shots, like the
Yeah.
spot up threes, 46%. That's good. That's great. But they got him
Yeah.
doing so much stuff. Mamu, I'll be very interested to see because the Raptors, God, they've signed shooters who just never shoot. It's just happened
Yeah.
too many times.
Yeah.
And like even Otto Porter Jr., he would have shot the ball, but he lost his toe, man. He was disappeared
Yeah.
for like a year. And
Yeah.
the Mamu stuff is it's also when you have two bigs who can make reads as passers, and I think Ora Shamshe showed this has been a battle I've been fighting for years, man. Calling big men who pass like fake passers because they make one high-low read and
Yeah.
everyone's like, oh yeah, it's like the high-low read is the easiest pass in
Yeah.
basketball, man.
Yeah,
It's easier
exactly.
to make a high-low read than it is to like hit a guy in step curling a pin down. Like it's
Yeah.
so easy, and they get gas for, and then all the bigs and pickup, they get the ball and they're like, and they think they're Jokic, man. I have
The head
beef.
nod,
Yeah,
the hand
exactly.
wave. Yeah, that's
However, they both read the floor a little bit. They both can put the
yeah,
ball down, Mamu and CMB, and I think they'll both cut, which gives as you know front courts shift to defend them as a 5-man unit, and especially
yeah,
depends like if RJ is in there with a transitional lineup, if Grady's out there, who knows how the defense is moving. Those guys
yeah,
will have opportunities to cut off of one another as drivers. I wonder how that goes. It's
yeah,
very interesting. Yang Hansen is a real passer, everybody. Okay, he's a
yeah. He's
real
got some sauce.
he
Yeah,
put the English on the ball, it curved into the
yeah.
root. He's pretty and handsome young is the
Oh, that's
he's
crazy branding,
incredible.
right? Yeah. That brand is crazy, man. Yeah.
Yeah. My second tandem, I guess because we want to talk about IQ a little bit, I will I the second tandem I want to discuss is Jamal Shead and Jakob Pertl. But I guess probably we should just have it be like the larger conversation of point guards plus Jakob.
Yeah.
And so, first thing, I want to get how do you feel about IQ? Because IQ, because of his health more than his play,
Yeah.
has had a rough go of things. And like you get paid, and then everyone gets upset at
Yeah.
you. That's that's how basketball
Yeah.
fandom
Yes.
works, right? If he was
Yeah.
making like $12 million a year, everyone's like, "This guy is the coolest guy of all time." But you make
Yeah.
32, suddenly you're not cool
This guy
anymore.
sucks. Yeah. No, that's how it works. So
IQ, what are you looking for from him? And
yeah.
is Jakob a path to anything he can improve on to you?
Yeah. I think he's a good player. Like the thing about IQ, when we got it from New York, right? Everyone's going hype. They're like saying, and I was
Tyrese
hyped too.
Maxey.
Tyrese Maxey, and the people. There was a crowd. They're like, well, if you look at the metrics, he's actually better than OG. There was actually that crowd too. So, but then when I watched him, like closely for the Raptors, like the limitations in his game, like two things stood out where like his jumper, he has to be like either like forward momentum, like it's always like north south, right? Like he's just like either dribbles off a screen, nobody's behind him, then he could pull up. That's his favorite type of shot, or in transition, right? But like the moment like he has to go any east west, and if there's someone trailing him, it's so easy to block, right? So that the pull up in certain situations is really good, but it doesn't have as much versatility as it needs for him to be the player to pull up threat you want him to be, right? Like the high level, high level. And then the second part, I remember from day one, I think it was against the Cavs, his first game. Like Scottie set a screen, he rolled into like the short roll area. The pocket pass was so like right there open. He pump faked or like he stopped and he just like turned around and passed it. He just does that so many times, and his threat off the dribble, especially when driving to the rim, he always is seeking contact and trying to get fouled, right? Or trying to do like a quick layup off the glass, right? So it's not really in control, so he doesn't have really much downhill threat. So he becomes a very player that's limited in scope where he can do this really good and like this specific stuff, but the moment you want him to like actually do the point guard stuff that keeps the offense like really moving, I that's where I get concerned. I'm like, okay, he can't really perform those well. And he always gets into these situations where he'll drive and then he'll be like stuck and then he'll like kind of like, oh wait, come save me or pitch it back, right? So like those type of scenarios really kind of soured my taste on him. I don't know how realistic it is at his age to become all of a sudden a good pocket passer and like these weaknesses like work on them and become good. So in the context of Jakob, if he can like in the pick and roll make those passes quicker and make those decisions faster, then I feel like okay, yeah, I would be a bit more higher on him. But it's just so many phases offensively where I'm like, oh man, he leaves you wanting, right? It's just like, oh, so I think he's a good player, but flawed, and some of the flaws really, especially the talent that's around him, Scottie Jakob. If he was a bit better at those flaws, I think the whole team will elevate way more, right? So that's kind of my thoughts
He's
on it.
so interesting to me because there is that 14 points in 4 minutes randomly. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
And
know.
because he is kind of like IQ is kind of like a player who you put all of the traits in like one thing. Like you're playing like Fallout New Vegas and you put like up to 9 on the one thing, right? I don't know if
Yeah,
you play Fallout New Vegas, but
yeah.
yeah.
Fallout 3. I don't think I played New
Okay.
Vegas.
New
Yeah,
Vegas
yeah,
is so fire, man.
yeah. I
That's the
got it. That's
best
like the
one by
best one.
far.
People say. Yeah,
Yes, it definitely
I gotta play that.
that's the video essay one. There's like a whole cottage industry
Yeah.
of Fallout New Vegas
Fallout New
video
Vegas
essays.
City. Yeah,
When I was sick, I went through like 6 of them. So anyway,
yeah,
IQ is so good at some things. Like just so hyper
yeah.
specifically excellent when the game opens up for him. It's just that like counter punching ability.
Mm-hmm.
He's not been a good counter punch player. So if his teammates, let's say Ingram and Scottie ascend together this year, they
Yeah.
can if they can create that path for him, he will sprint through it. Like his
Mm-hmm.
skill set is so ready made to give you hyper efficiency, to
Yeah.
threaten the right things, to help out the team as a spacer, to give them, passable pick and roll possessions when they need it, to churn through, as long as he's not the main feature. Because when he's the
Yeah.
main feature, teams are so good at, yes, making him kill the dribble, pump, look back,
Yeah.
pitch back out, because he does kill his dribble. And low pickup point, low release point,
Yeah.
doesn't like going left. The pull-up jumper is not as expansive as we want. And he floats when he's off ball. He doesn't cut to the ball. He doesn't form up to
Yes. That's
drives.
a good point.
Even though he's an incredible catch and shoot player, he
Yeah.
doesn't play off ball. And I think that's what growing up in the New York system was, where it's like isolation and everything. It's like, because he's a pretty damn good isolation player.
Yeah.
Gets to his spot, and he takes the quote unquote right shot, so the points per possession goes through the roof. His counter punch ability, what's he, 26 now, late 25, something like that. It still can be added to his game. It's just, I wonder how it is. And I've been asking, it feels like every NBA coach last year, because I saw the limitations with Quickley. So I was like, everyone I could ask, players, coaches, how hard is it for a guard to develop their like middle of the floor game? And then Tom Thibodeau, after IQ gets traded, he says, I don't think you can. And I was like, no, man. He's like, I think it's almost innate, because he has Jalen Brunson, right? And he's like, Jalen just has that thing about him. And then also talking to Eric Spoelstra, who had Kyle Lowry at the time, and also Jimmy Butler, right? Like Jimmy Butler's an unbelievable guy, carving out room in the middle of the floor. And he's like, yeah, it's tough, man, because there's just so many things that go into it. And it does seem almost innate. But if IQ developed that, I'd be over the moon about his game. But it's definitely missing. And as ND says, it's so sad how bad his floater fell off. Lewis, when they traded for, I don't know if you remember, he was like, IQ shooting 60% on floaters, and everyone's like, let's go. And he's shooting, I think, like 43% since then. It's a tough fall off. But IQ, if the team is good, he'll probably be humming. And the potential is there for, if he gets put in a good role, man, he could be just an unbelievable combo, I think. So we'll wait and see on that. But I did want to get your opinion on IQ. Jakob, I mean, Davion Mitchell and Jakob had one of the best pick and roll partnerships when they were together, because literally all it is just the pocket pass and the floater, easy
Davion was
peasy.
too good at that.
If IQ can work some of that into his game, and I know he does work on IQ works on the pocket pass a lot, I think that can develop into his game. I mean, you play with Jakob, why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah.
And also, apparently, he wants to get bigger. Good, fine, totally. That's all great. Jamal Shead, he likes the pocket pass.
Yeah.
He likes, when he can, to work the middle. It doesn't mean he gets all the way to the rim, but he works the middle. How much time playing together do you think Jakob and Jamal will have this year? That's kind of where I am.
That's a good question. Yeah. I'm not sure they'll have too much, because I assume, like, by the time Shed subs on, Mamu or whoever the backup big will come on shortly after, right? And maybe he'll get a few minutes with him, but I feel like mostly IQ and Jakob will be tied closely together. So I'm not sure how much IQ, like, he's obviously not the most healthy player, right? So if IQ gets injured, then it's going to be the Shed show once again. So yeah, that's I don't think he'll get much, though, based on current roster construction, right? So
okay, there's actually a good question, or a statement from YA says IQ needs to learn how to set screens. Well, I'm gonna draw something up on my clipboard, but I want you to tell me how you think he is as a screen setter.
yeah, like, obviously his frame isn't too good, right? Like, he's pretty slight, right? Shoulders aren't too wide. So, but like, even as a screen, like, first of all, they don't really run much Scottie IQ, right? Small, big, or inverted pick and roll. So the amount of opportunities I had to see in it was pretty limited. But when he did, I felt like he's more like screening. He doesn't really want to make too much contact. Like, he'll maybe like lightly tap and then really exit immediately. Whereas, like, I think the best guard screeners are the ones that can, like, legit just sit there and hold their position, right, as they get hit longer than you expect. 'Cause obviously we had like Fred and Lowry, so we're spoiled, right? But I think he's not that good. But honestly, I haven't seen too much of a sample size to make a definitive claim on it. But my first impressions is, like, not very good as a screener, as a guard. So
Okay, so I have two plays that the Raptors run where they use IQ as a screener. So I'll try and show them on screen. This one on the right side is, oh Lord, this stuff is always so tough to do with
The
telestrating. I don't know
reverse
how they do it
camera.
on TV. Wait, let me turn this off quick. Okay, so this one is the easiest, and this is an alteration of 77 skip, which if you watch the Pacers run
Mhm.
to the NBA Finals, you would have seen a million times from Tyrese Halliburton. And it's where IQ is the first screener, and either Scottie or Ingram, I presume, this year will be the one who pitches or throws the ball out to the second screener. And the guy from the
Mhm.
corner then sets a pin in for IQ as he runs off as the first screener. And that's because teams will load up on the outside screener, the second screener, and they'll shift to that side of the floor. And Scottie in the past has been in a really good position as a great skip passer to skip the
Yeah.
ball over the top to IQ in the corner. And then the second one is where IQ is the first screener, but there's no pitch. And the second screener, and the first screener turns around and screens a flare for IQ, and Scottie takes the ball outside and throws the ball over the top of a flare. And this stuff is more so featuring IQ kind of as like an off-ball screener, but it
Yeah.
would be so good if he were able to develop as an on-ball screener. Like
Mhm.
that's a huge credit to Ochai, something he became really good at this season. They used Ochai as a screener up top for a million different variations of things because one, he could flare out for three. Two,
Mhm.
he could stick his man. And three, he could stick his man and seal for when they'd short the pick and roll. Jak would flash to the free throw line area or above. They pass, they'd enter to him, and Ochai would make a basket
Yeah.
cut for
For
a
the rim.
layup. Like Screencraft can get you a lot of things in the
Yeah.
NBA. And I would love if IQ, I mean, if he's getting beefier, then maybe that's something we'll see. But
Yeah.
I just in the simplest terms, because I know I'm critical and like not super optimistic about Jamal Shead, especially relative to Raptors
Yeah.
media, which Raptors media loves Jamal Shead and his game.
Yeah.
And Raptors fans love him. I see Kyle Lowry comps all the time. He's
That's
well beloved.
nuts. But
Well,
okay.
hey,
Yeah.
we everyone has some fun. Well, I think I
Yeah.
what I was it was in jest, but I think when I was talking to Blake, I was like, how is Grady Dick different than Devin Booker? You know, just to be funny. Everyone has some big
Everyone
comps
has
they
that.
like to make.
You should have
And
seen
Trey,
my Malachi Flynn arc was kind of that
who
was
was your
crazy.
comp for Malachi?
I don't know. I was like light CP3.
Oh Jesus, dude, hell yeah! I
That was
remember
straight at San Diego State. I was like, I don't know what I was seeing, but I fell in love. Anyways,
his
we always
tape
have
is
those.
sick from there, man.
Bro,
It's
he's
kind
just
of
such a
funny.
nice watch, when
He
he's going.
is. It's
That's
that's
that was the
like
thing.
Ball don't stop chosen for a reason. You watch Malachi Flynn, everything makes sense.
Yeah.
He looks like a prototypical all-star point guard. He's like
Yeah.
Darren Williams if he was just like a little bit shorter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Different
Exactly.
different jump shot mechanics, but yeah.
Yeah.
Um Jamal,
Jamal
there's
Shead Jak.
potential. There's potential for him to, if he gets to play with Jakob, to
Yeah.
use the middle of the floor and use him as a screener. And because honestly, that's an important facet of the Raptors offense is like, how do we get the ball to Jakob in a spot where he
Hmm.
can score? And it won't be as important this year as it was last year. But is Scottie going to be the one who like feeds Jakob? I don't know. Is Ingram going to be the one
Yeah.
who feeds Jakob? I don't know. Shed coming in off the bench as like a change of pace guard who's like, Jakob, I want to feed you, man. This is where you score
Yeah.
6 points in 3 minutes. That might be a feature, and that would be a very friendly, I think, tandem for especially for Jamal, because I mean, Jakob teams up with anybody, it starts to look awesome. You're like,
Yeah.
damn, this guy's great. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of where I was thinking with it. Your last duo before we get into the CMB of it all.
So last duo was probably the one people are most excited about is Scottie and Ingram, right? And I'm more actually just like intrigued or like fascinated how they'll fit because um most likely yeah, it's gonna be Ingram at the three, Scottie at the four. We've seen Scottie, especially last year, like handle the ball a lot, right, above the break. Um, so with Ingram coming in, is he going to be handling more? And then does that mean Scottie's going to be more playing down low or like catching the ball, free throw line below, right? And then what does that mean for Scottie? If it's like Scottie's still hanging out around on the perimeter, um, I guess I think we know pretty well how good Scottie is as an off-ball player, right? Like he came in the league with Pascal instantly. He was just like finding gaps. So I'm more interested in what Ingram does off-ball, right? When Scottie is really doing his thing, right? Is he just standing there? Because my impression of him, he's not really that much of a threat as a cutter, right?
Dude, I
Um,
watched so much Ingram. He just didn't cut. And
he just yeah,
when I was talking about this, I had some because Ingram actually has a lot of fans. He has a lot of fans,
yeah,
man.
yeah, he does.
Like the Ingram fan base. So I
Yeah,
got a lot of feedback immediately. Like that was just Willie Green's offense. Like that's just the Pelicans. And I was like, well, they've you've seen more than I have at that point. So like maybe, but we'll see. It'll bear out this year. We'll see.
yeah. Like obviously, I haven't watched much as these Ingram fans, right? But every time I've seen him, I don't think I've ever watched a play with Brandon Ingram. Like, whoa, nice cut, or like, wow, he like everything is either he's off ball, just like spacing, or he's about to come off a screen into a handoff or run pick and roll, right? So what he does, and especially what Darko does for them too. I'm very interested to see what Ingram does off ball with Scottie, because if when Ingram has a ball, Scottie's just gonna be roaming around, setting screens, catching the ball, like doing Scottie stuff. So that I'm interested in that part, and then inversely like, on defense on the other end. Yeah, I think Ingram just has to. The only role he has to really do is just be solid, containing on the perimeter, right? Because then you're gonna have Jakub and Scottie behind you, right? So if he can do that, then I think they'll work together well offensively. Because Scottie can plug a lot of gaps, and also like, um, I'm interested to see because Scottie, when he came into the league, especially as a perimeter defender, people were like, "Whoa, he's actually like way worse than we thought he was." Like his foot speed, he's gotten better, but obviously his strength is not on ball, right? Defending. So if Ingram can take up those responsibilities, and he doesn't have to be elite or anything, just be like competent enough, then I feel like okay, then Scottie can really just purely play his role, and then Ingram can just like defend on the perimeter. So that's kind of the reason I had those duels. I'm more interested to see how they fit offensively. So, and what Darko does, right? Especially Ingram coming into this type of offense, how that looks. If Darko concedes a bit, or if he kind of just says, you know, you got to get on the train, buddy. So
Yeah.
I'm interested in that part. So that's why I had them as my last duel.
They are so compelling because and I hang on to this month and a half of basketball probably more than anybody else. But before Pascal got traded, the
Hmm.
Raptors, and before OG got traded, even they had like a month and a half of basketball where they were like a top six offense. And a lot of it was built off of forward screening, like same size screening to find mismatches, to create entry passes to Pascal and Scottie both. They had like, I mean, I have my notebook of all their pet plays they used to run. They can do that stuff with Ingram and Scottie. And that is kind of like the dark arts of offense, are these little forgotten corners of where you can grind out advantages. Like
Hmm.
if you Scotty Barnes curling even from like 17 feet off of an Ingram screen, and they're like, "Are we switching this? Do we want the smaller defender on Scotty now, or
Yeah.
the bigger one and then the smaller one on Ingram?" And kind of like using it as a read option is like, whoever gets the matchup that we like out of that will be either moving downhill or getting a matchup that we love. So
Yeah.
just having Jakob operate from like the elbow extended to make plays off of that, there's so much potential to work offense from that position. And
Yeah.
you can't do that with RJ and Scotty. You can't do that
Yeah.
with, you can only do that with like Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum. You can only do that
Hmm.
with Scotty Barnes and Brandon, like the same size guys
Same size for
who
yeah.
put you in the what the hell are we doing here type of matchups. And there's so much potential for that. And Ingram is a good passer. He's
Yeah.
he's a little bit like he's a little bit more of a passer live dribble, which is
Yeah.
good. which is what you like, but the Raptors are going to ask him to make like standstill passes too, to like read the floor and all that. How much he cuts, it matters a lot. His proclivities and tendencies as a guy to catch and hold, it matters a lot, because
Yeah.
that was one of the things that surprised people about Scottie last year, was that Scottie went from being a tap the ball away constantly guy to
Yeah.
a catch and hold player.
Yeah.
I don't think his career will. I don't think that will be
No,
the sum
no.
of his career. I think it'll like normalize. IQ, a catch and hold player. RJ Barrett, who everyone said was a catch and hold player, was like the arguably, outside of Scottie, the fastest processor of like, here's what I want to do when I get the ball,
Yeah.
making quick decisions. How fast Scottie and Ingram make decisions, how like how much of a, I guess, like highway, like a quick, like the what's the whatever it is in Germany, the one that goes fast, man, the Autobahn, an Autobahn
Yeah.
highway of decision making, very quick, because those situations require quick decision making. Those
Yeah.
situations require knowing exactly what you want to do against a matchup or against a defense. And you know, Joseph Cassidy says here, with the amount of passing across the starters, could be. I don't know what he's referring to, but that is a good point. Like, there's a lot of passing amongst the starters, cutting, filling, some shooting. The potential with good decision making is there, and the Raptors clearly
Yeah.
want to play that style. And in that sense, the idealized versions of Scottie and Ingram actually work together exceptionally well. And I was somebody who always thought that like Pascal and Scottie actually did work together.
Yeah.
That was always my contention. I know other people didn't view it that way, but I always thought it worked. Obviously not, they weren't like an incredible team, but the
Yeah.
tandem, Ingram and Scottie, I think there's potential for a lot of things there. So, and it will be so compelling. It's like your two best
Yeah.
players. How do they work off of each other?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think yeah, it's interesting because I don't know, like there's a bunch of players in the league where you could say, oh man, if he really just improved as a cutter, right? But I don't think people understand like how much feel goes into cutting. Like you can't just wake up one day and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna cut now." Like like let's say you're playing basketball. Oh, you watch your own tape. You're like, "Oh man, I should have cut there." Right? Maybe next time you actually cut, but like you really have to know what's going on the floor, angles, and not only just be willing, but to actually like identify opportunities and timing. Right? So that stuff, like I kind of categorize them more as really hard to learn, especially as you get older. Right? Younger players maybe. So yeah, like as a cutter, maybe he improves, but I would bet money on probably it being like just okay, and like
Yeah.
just stationary. So
Well, it's even just like the baseline, the not baseline, but like the like mediocre level cuts
yeah,
is you collapse the weak side for a 45 cut. If it doesn't collapse, then you're open for a layup. If it does collapse, then you open up the weak side for a three. Like doing that kind of stuff. The built-in cuts
built in,
are,
yeah,
yeah. Also, a lot of people brought up RJ and Yak as a tandem. That's not who we picked, but yes, they deserve a shout. They were a really great duo last year. One
yeah,
of the best duos on the Raptors, just as a
yeah,
mention. So, but cuts, there are cuts that are built into the structure of the offense. I've done like Gradey and I had like we're talking about cuts just like forever, but he had to go.
hmm,
And like cuts are very, some of them are reads, yes. And some
hmm,
cuts like the Danny Green cut or the
yeah,
Wade cut or the Maggette cut, they call it a Cordy cut. Like these guys kind of develop their own because they're so good at understanding where there might be an opening. But there are cuts that are built into the offense that you have to do for the health of a play, because
yeah,
the play has to create this advantage or this advantage, and you have to cut from the right place to make the defense choose. Some of that is good. Some of that is like just necessary. And then there's the
yeah,
interpretive cuts where like special
yes,
cutters, like Jalen Williams is one of the most special cutters in the NBA right now. I think that Gradey will end up being one of those like
yes,
very,
yeah,
he has to finish better at the rim, but one of those very special cutters too. Guys who know that the structure of the offense is trying to tug and pull, but what else can I add? And then the
yeah,
gravity of how much teams care about them. There's just so much room to affect as a cutter. It's why like the spacing stuff is always interesting because what they figured out when you really looked into Zion is like Zion has an inverse type of gravity as a cutter around the middle and can drag, like he can keep defenses away from the nail just by standing like 2 feet away from the nail. He doesn't even have to step out because he makes this semicircle cut to the other side to catch and then finish at the rim. Scottie can do the same type of thing. Ingram, probably not, but Ingram, like on a stampede cut, who knows? There's just so much potential for cutting, and it's actually so complicated. I knew all this, but I learned so much about the structure of basketball after like 2 years of working with Caitlin Cooper. Just like, what the hell? Like us going into those deep dives after every game and seeing like exactly what a team is trying to do and how intense it is and how it changes on personnel. It's just like, holy smokes, man. We'll see. Scrambles, you say to be a cutter, someone else has to be drawing the doubles. He didn't have that much in New Orleans. He will have that more with the Raptors. 1, people don't need to be doubled. 2, Zion drew a lot of doubles, man, like a whole bunch. We'll see. But Ingram, it would be pretty late in his career to become a cutter, but I'd love to see it, man.
Of course,
I'd love to see it. All right. We got to talk CMB. Also, another type of like it works is at the corner crash for offensive rebounding, and then the tag up for defensive, like transition defense. Oh my God, man. There's a lot of stuff there, the in between. CMB, you have a great video essay on him. Actually, while you talk about CMB, I'm going to put the link to that in the chat, but go ahead. Colin Murray Boyles.
Yeah. So I made a video on CMB just covering, like it was after we drafted him. So I made a video on other prospects prior, just leading up to the draft. But obviously Raptors drafted CMB, so I was really excited. So I dove into him. Prior, I watched a decent bit of him. I think I had him like 5th on my board during draft night, right? So he was like my number 1, him, and I think I had Queen 2nd for the Raptors as guys I wanted in the 9th pick. So yeah, so we drafted him, then I made the video going into his game, and I guess to start with, one of the things that stood out most, like immediately, obviously, I think everyone knows he's really a good defensive prospect, right? Like top 2 in the draft at least, right? Maybe even the best, right? Depending how you feel about Cooper Flag. So like that immediately stood out. He's like insanely quick processor. We saw this in summer league. He's in short areas. He can cover ground like very quickly, right? And he's also like very big. His hands were crazy, right? And that we saw a lot of that in summer league.
He's got
it's
the most
like
nuts hands,
freakish stuff, like the stuff he was doing, like the speed of it, the strength when he actually gets the ball to like pull it. And even like when he's like offensively, just like at the top of the like key, like handing off or like passing around, he has like a weird like rhythm to his game where he like pump fake and then woof, like launch a pass to the left, and it kind of like tilts the defense more than you expect. But essentially defense stood out first, but I started to realize how much higher I was in his offense than I thought I would be. Like he's like his driving game, he's not like insanely crazy burst type of driver, but the strength is actually like crazy levels of like he'll drive and like take 2-3 bumps from like center size guys and just like keep going. And then when he gets to the rim, like the type of finishes he's doing, he's mostly left-handed obviously, but he'll be like at an angle like this, going like crazy fast, getting bumped and just like laid in, and then he can go like has counters, he can spin. He has a pretty quick spin move. His post game, he like posted up a decent amount. I think it's pretty simplistic, his approach. He's nothing crazy, but he just like makes quick moves, and then he tries to get to his left hand, right, for the floater, and he has a good touch there. So, but his driving game, I'm really interested because I saw a couple pick and rolls he was running with his guards that he really like would drive. Some guy would step out immediately. He spinned off the counter, got to the lane, missed the layup. But there was a couple of those possessions that were like sparse. I'm like, man, I wonder if they put the ball in his hands more, and like with like obviously some shooters, like I think. Because even like when you compare him to Scottie, I think they're similar types of players in terms of their strengths, right? Especially defensively, but there's pretty stark differences, especially like Scottie when he came into the league. My biggest concern was his lack of burst. and like lack of pull-up game. The combo, those two really scared me as an on-ball player, right? But he just does everything else in between. And the touch and strength combo, I kind of underrated. But he still doesn't have that penetrative game, right? CMB kind of has a bit more of that where he can really like push through guys and even slower foot guys get by them and then cause more pressure downhill. So offensively, I think I'm a bit more higher than I thought I would be on CMB. And the shot, I think also like it doesn't look that bad. Like a couple of mid-range jumpers were like, okay, I could see it. But even though like even if his shot never becomes good, I could still see him being a good offensive player because that's how high I am on the driving, cutting, offensive rebounding is really good too. So like elite defensive prospect and surprisingly good offensive. Like people are comparing him. I think I watched a stream like a couple weeks ago when he drafted him. People were saying Mogbo for CMB, which was
That bugged me
like that
in the
like
process up to it. I was like, these guys are not the same at
oh, we
all.
drafted another Mogbo. I was like, bro, like it's so reductive. Like that type of stuff, like especially when you watch him for extended periods, you see how different player he is. So essentially, yeah, I think downhill threat as a driver, as a passer, made me really higher on him offensively than I thought I would be. And then obviously the elite defensive prospect go with that. So at 9, I was over the moon when he drafted him. I was like so hyped, right? So
Yeah. Obviously,
yeah.
do you see the video of my reaction? Stupid, man.
I
Because he was
saw
my
that.
favorite guy. I was like, yo, I
Yeah,
can't believe it.
yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
it was low key because I was like, I don't have to do any work. I already did all
Yeah,
the work.
you did the pre-work. I was scrambling. I gotta get a video. I was like, yo,
Yeah,
those things.
this is a good way of summarizing the point you're making about Scottie versus CMB and their different strengths. ND says the way they move is very different. CMB better in short spaces, explosion, while Scottie better in space. That's why I think CMB will be so good as a driver. Yeah, like they're like if CMB catches from 18 feet away on a 45 cut, catches high and gets one dribble, he's probably gonna have to like bump, take 2 steps, bump, and finish on the outside of his right or left hand, depending on the side of the
Yeah,
floor. Scottie catching that maybe wouldn't even have to put the ball down and would finish above the rim with a dunk. Like
yeah,
that,
exactly.
his length and his ground coverage, once the engine is going,
Yeah,
Scottie is just way different than CMB. But CMB, it's a
yeah,
shame, one, he didn't finish this play, and two, that he missed both the free throws. But he got weaked in the pick and roll and he went between his legs, burst off the back foot going right, and like beat a guy downhill, went to the lane, got fouled, and he missed the free
yeah,
throws. But I was like, whoa! I was like, that was
yeah,
sick, dude. And
yeah.
obviously, his first step and that explosivity is just it's way better than Scottie's because
Yes, yeah,
Scottie, similar to OG, big movement players. When they get to move
yes,
big, they look incredible. And that's like,
yeah,
and they both look so good when giving, defenders or prospective offensive players defensively when they give them a buffer and use their length to disrupt and let their wide steps guardrail.
yeah, yeah.
Incredible. Whereas CMB is like, where you going, bro?
Right,
Where's it
right
gonna
up,
be?
yeah, right
And
up
those
on. Yeah,
hands are clawing at
the
you and
handles are
disrupting
crazy.
everything. They
Yeah,
are very different.
I think like that brings an interesting conversation how they fit defensively when they share the floor, right? Because this was also what I was thinking about, where,
That's
like you
hell,
said,
man.
yeah, it's crazy, right? Like I think CMB, like obviously I think Scottie would be better as a low man or like a roamer, right? Than CMB because like you said, like large spaces, like he can cover like crazy, right?
So
I think
special.
CMB could be an upgrade of what we've been lacking on ball. I don't know if he's gonna grow, and I don't want to really pigeonhole him to be like a point of attack really starter, like not starter, but point of attack defender in our defensive scheme when he's sharing the floor with Scottie. But I feel like if Scottie roaming, and then you have like CMB one pass away, just like digging down on any drives. Like you just have two threats on defense, like the offensive players are always worried about, right? And I wonder if they play them small or at the 3-4. That's going to be another interesting thing.
Yep.
If they ever get small ball time or at the 3-4. So yeah, like that was probably like for the fourth duo I would have mentioned because it's going to be very interesting. But yeah, like summary, over the moon with the pick. I think he's going to be really good. And I think he's going to surprise a lot of people offensively because they just look at the shot and like turn their brains off. Like bad shooter equals bad offensive player. End of the day, they're done. But no, I think he's going to be really good. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
There's a lot of Carter Bryant versus CMB in the. I'll say, as a guy who, those were the two big deep
Yeah.
dives that I did. I came away liking both guys. For Carter, the thing obviously is that I said I believed in the jumper a lot. The jumper really has to be there for Carter because
Has to.
much
Yeah.
of his, and you know what we talked about, how cutting is such a cerebral and interpretive aspect of a game. Carter,
Yeah.
one, has to be really good at that. Two, he has to shoot the ball. And defensively, Carter really has to work on screen navigation because Carter is really good closing off those big spaces and keeping that buffer, but navigating the small spaces, Carter is not so good. I really
Yeah.
like him. I would have been happy if the Raptors selected Carter, but I did
Yeah.
like CMB better as a prospect.
Same.
Rose says Carter Bryant has zero shot right now. I wouldn't say zero, but he struggled immensely offensively at Summer League. He was
Yeah.
not able to find his space, but he also, the Cooper Flag matchup for Carter is actually incredibly friendly to all of his strengths. When Carter defends guards, that's when you're going to be like, oh
Yeah.
wait, because Cooper has very bad screencraft as an offensive player. Is actually, and when I did the Cooper film room, and Josh Codanera, it was on when we were going to Mont Tremblant, the car podcast that died. He was like, there's actually a lot of similarities to the proclivities and decision making in Cooper Flag's game as there is to Brandon Ingram. He doesn't have a strong last step. He's not able to anchor himself and finish at the rim with his last step. Think of I guess there's a lot of players who do it, but RJ is a really good example. Even though he didn't finish that well, is like getting that last step to step
Last
around a
step.
guy,
Yeah. And then,
pivoting
yeah.
and going up strong. Cooper, the reason why he fell down trying to drive to the rim so often is because he can't stabilize himself. You know what I mean? He kind of buckles under that. So instead of pressing to step around guys, pound, dribble, pull. And so Carter was in such a great spot playing like buffer defense against a guy who only wants to get to the middle of the floor and doesn't really, he's not great at getting to the rim off the bounce. So that stuff showed up. I'm really interested and excited to see how Carter looks guarding elite guards. And I really like Carter. I think there's an NBA role for him. I think he'll be really fun. But in doing a deep dive on both and a lot of work on both, I did like CMB better. I'm very excited for CMB.
Yeah. I think he's just more dynamic, right? Like
He definitely is more dynamic.
Carter, Carter has a lot of ingredients to be like actually like a very potent NBA player, right? It's just that like some of his game, part of his game, like anytime he puts on the floor, it's like really, really raw right now. Obviously, that's a big selling point against him, right? But the jumper is promising. It's actually, I think it's just like going to be good. And then the defense, obviously, his frame, like you said, is like exactly what you want, right? But yeah, when he puts on the floor, then it gets spooky. But yeah, if they drafted him at 9, I think I would be okay. I think I would rather, to be honest, I was hoping Queen would be serious about his body a bit more. But like he was
had the wrist surgery now, right?
yeah.
Damn.
I just saw that news. 12 weeks out in New Orleans. I'm scared for my boy, man. You know, he's gonna come back. I don't know, he's gonna be the same. But yeah, I wanted Queen and CMB. If we drafted Carter, I'd be okay. Malawak too, I'd be okay. But I had CMB like the clear number one guy I wanted, so thankfully you drafted him. So,
That's like you're the amalgam of Trey and I, because I really love CMB, and Trey really, really loved Queen. He kept calling him the
Queen?
chess piece, the chess piece. But could you imagine? Because obviously going to like CMB, what he averaged like 10 points on, it was pretty high true shooting, but it wasn't as much as we all would have liked. But like, imagine if the Raptors drafted Carter Bryant and he shoots less than 29% from the field, 26% from three, like 7 points, 1 assist. The clips that go viral on Twitter, and again, I advocated for Carter. I like Carter, but the clips of him going viral, like guarding Cooper Flag, that is nice, yes. But if you watch the actual games, he struggled. And if he had been on the Raptors and like 27% from the field, it would have been scary hours as far as like the conversation around him. But
Yeah.
we'll see, man.
Yeah.
We'll see. Is there any other topics on your mind before we get out of here?
Um, yeah, not much. I guess duo wise, Scottie IQ, similar to the Jakob one. Also, like this was like, remember when we drafted him? We're like, oh man, the fit. People are like, RJ, okay, okay. IQ and Scottie, man, imagine the
They put out
potential,
the
right?
open gym clip of Bobby Webster saying it, and it wasn't
Exactly.
true. It
Yeah.
wasn't true.
Yeah, I was like, and then they played together and it just never clicked. Will it ever click? That's the question. So it's kind of like a hopeful duo, like please work. But that was the only other thing left on my list.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've talked about that before. For that duo to work, and it can work, but only if Scottie lowers himself from star to role player in that dynamic, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
what
yeah.
IQ really needs is someone to do all the dirty work for him and clear him up and free him up. And
Yeah.
Scottie is like, I'm an all-star wing.
Exactly,
I don't
yeah.
I don't want to carve out space for you as a driver by being a gritty screen. I'm not Marcin Gortat, bro. Like I'm gonna like
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a rub screen pop and give me the ball for an ISO. And
Yeah.
IQ is the same thing. It's like IQ is like, like I don't want to form up that often. Like I'm not really gonna plant screens. I'm not even gonna like sprint and pivot and
Yeah.
like do the go screen thing. They're just neither is doing a lot to help the other. And
Exactly,
Scottie,
yeah.
Scottie is really, and also IQ isn't going to drive, collapse the defense constantly, and like make this great wrap pass to cutting
Yeah.
Scottie on a corner crash or something, or from the 45. But Scottie, if he wanted to, could be like a gritty screener. But
Yeah.
IQ, if he wants to elevate Scottie, I don't know if there's much in the two-man game, but in the overall sense of
Yeah.
like spacing and offensive prowess, yes. But
Yeah.
man, it's it became pretty
Yeah.
clear like once when I was watching all of IQ's pat, like Lewis sent me this stat. It broke my brain.
Mhm.
We went to a movie together, Mickey 17, which was, I love Robert Pattinson, but it wasn't that great,
Okay.
unfortunately. And he told me, he's like, yeah, I've been watching all of IQ's drives. It's like, how many times do you think he drove the paint and created a layup this year? And I was like, 20 times. And I'm thinking that's not often. And he was
Yeah,
like, it's
yeah.
5. I said 5.
Wow. Oh
I was
my.
like, man. And then my friend Polar, he sends me, he's like been charting like IQ's passes, never passes to the middle of the floor. And I was like, oh God, man. And then you
1-2
watch it all,
punch.
and it's just like the ball is never going middle. And who
Yeah.
did we watch? Kyle Lowry. That guy always got the ball middle. Oh,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
elite at getting the ball middle. And you
Yeah.
know who would benefit a lot from a player who gets the ball middle? Scottie
Yeah.
Barnes, man.
Scottie
We'll see.
Barnes. Yeah.
But to cap
Yeah.
it off, I mean, IQ, he's still, if they get him in the right role, he can really take
Yeah.
off. Like the efficiency in shot making, they can coalesce.
Yeah. I think, yeah, they just kind of have to like laser focus his strengths and have everyone else. Because like the moment, I think he just overextended, right? Like the hope was he could scale up. Like a player performing that well in New York, you trade for him, you make the bet he can scale up into like a higher level star. Sometimes it just doesn't work out. So maybe him being like more scaled down in terms of not like touches or anything, but more like, okay, what we're asking him to do, right? Could improve him. One other guy, I guess I wanted to bring up, and I think I know how you feel about him, but Jacoby.
Hmm.
Um, because when we drafted him, I wasn't too high on him. Like I forget, I probably had him in the 20s, so not too far from 19. But I was
Hmm.
like, it wasn't my number one option, right? I think he's past my expectations because I was lower on him. But his shot is like he always like it's always short. Like is he gonna be a real deal shooter? Like I'm starting to really question like the level of a shooter he's gonna be. The defensive intensity he's brought and all that stuff has really like okay buoyed that. Like maybe if he's not like an elite shooter, he'd still be solid. But I was watching Summer League and outside those explosions, like it was like front rim, front rim, front rim, and I was just like, man, like I don't know if it's worth doing like a mechanical tweak because that could screw everything up. But like, yeah, that was on my mind. I'm not sure what level of a jump shooter, 3-point jump shooter he's gonna reach, you know?
Well, I don't think like as far as the diversity of shots that he makes and takes, I don't think it'll ever be that high. But for him, it's the kinetic chain, right? Like he can get
Hmm.
stuck up top and he can let his legs get a little straight so that he loses
Hmm.
the kinetic chain going upwards. And basically what that leads to is being short repeatedly and just kind of like he gets like up on his toes and he just kind of pushes the ball at the rim and he get front
Yeah.
rim, front rim, front rim.
Yeah.
When he gets to like catch, sit in his
Yeah.
stance and transfer all the way through, that's why he had a really hot finish to last season was simpler shots. But when he's
Hmm.
constantly mixing like these creation attempts, it kind of confuse and he's bringing a lot of these pull-up attempts into it. He's
Yeah.
constantly changing like where he's gathering. He's just not super consistent. But his jump shot mechanics are super simple.
Yeah,
Super
it's
simple.
nothing crazy, right? I think
So
yeah, it's just like the power generation, right? The lower body, like you're saying. So I think I'm gonna keep an eye on that this season, because yeah, he ended last season well, but yeah, I really hope because yeah, if he's like a legit like real deal shooter, then like you're talking about some like a valuable player on a roster,
yeah,
right? So, um, yeah, so I'm interested. I'm gonna watch that more, because I'm more like monitoring him because Grady, I think I know what he is, right? And like even though like the finishing struggles, all that stuff, like I know what he's gonna bring, and I'm still pretty high on him, like in terms of that.
big year
Yeah,
upcoming.
yeah, big year, yeah. So, but Jacoby, I'm like kind of still trying to kind of clear out the picture of the player he's gonna be, right? And so I'm looking at the jump shot because I think mid-range pull-up foul drawing it really impressed me. Like the sort of stuff he was doing, I'm like, okay, like he showed that some of that at Baylor, and then the defense. To be honest, I didn't see the defense coming, man.
Yeah,
Like I
man.
was just like, oh, maybe he could survive on defense. Like he's really like bought in completely.
Yep.
So I'm like really impressed defensively. So I just
Great.
wanted to bring Jacoby up last. So
Yeah. Great ball pressure defender. As Andy asked, this year's greatest extension year, right? Yeah, he can sign an extension this year. And the Jacoby thing is there's four things that are going really well in his favor. You hit on most of them. And it's ball pressure defense, which is incredibly
mhm.
important in today's NBA. He definitely can do it. Two, he can be a two guard who guards ones.
Mhm.
His screen navigation definitely has to improve, but he
Yeah.
was a rookie and he was good. He was a good isolation defender. That's an incredible starting point. He
Yeah.
can be a two. He can be a low usage two who guards ones. Incredible.
Yeah.
That's incredibly important in the NBA because point
Very
guards
useful.
don't want to guard. Three, he cuts well. He
Hmm.
definitely cuts well. Four, as you said, attacking closeouts and getting middle for
Yeah.
mid-range jumpers. If it's a grenade possession or if you just need to beat somebody over the top, drawing fouls, great. Five, if the catch and shoot three is there to draw those closeouts, he's in a lower usage starting role, something like that in the
Yes.
future.
Yeah.
Easy. Even if he's the seventh man or the fifth starter, whatever, that
At
stuff is
19, that's like a home run, man. You know.
unbelievable. And the
So
ball pressure, I like the 26 points in the third summer league game, right? Or I
yeah.
don't know, second, third, I don't know. That was so impressive. Not because of the 26 points, it was the 7 steals. 26 points was like he hit a
Yeah.
couple pull-up threes, he hit
Exactly.
threes, he ran out in transition, but there wasn't really any creation. 7 steals because he was on dudes' asses, just like, yo, give me the
Yeah.
ball. I mean, he hit that pull-up three, they dribbled it down, he picked the guy's pocket, he met him at half court. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, this is elite. And
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
that's why I'm actually I from the point of view of like Grady, Jacoby, who becomes the more prioritized player on the roster is
Yeah.
compelling. But I also think that like those two guys could play on the same team their whole careers and
Yes.
it would be very friendly to one another and good.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
they they have a very friendly dynamic between their two skill sets, I think. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So
All right.
agree 100%.
Dude, plug yourself. You gotta tell everybody.
Yeah.
Obviously, everybody has enjoyed listening. This is a new guest on the podcast. There's been like no guests on the podcast this past year. I've been so just Trey and I for the most part and RR people, so I had to extend the web out farther. Abdel,
No.
let the people
Appreciate
know.
it, man. Yeah, so you could find me on YouTube channel, Taco Takes. So you can my CMB videos there. Raptor fans, bro, they roll deep, man. This video got to like 4K instantly, which is by far my highest. So I really appreciate that. And then I'm making a video on Cam Boozer hopefully this week and starting the 2026 draft stuff. And then yeah, hopefully I'm gonna try to do like basketball content or something like that, more general outside the draft sometime this summer as well. So keep an eye out. So yeah, you can follow Taco Takes. Also Twitter Abdel Taco. I kind of troll on there a bit too much, but you can follow me because I also tweet out my thoughts there. But no, I appreciate you having me, man. This is
Of
a
course, man.
awesome podcast. I will listen to you guys. So
Dude, you did excellent. I thought
appreciate
is this your first podcast that you've done, or have you
No, I
done
did.
others?
One of my buddies, D Lee for three. He's like a Hawks guy.
Oh, yes, I know him.
You know D Lee,
Dude,
right? Yeah,
he
I
had
did
the
a couple things
funniest
for.
thing. Dude, it was so I didn't follow him until I saw this. It was incredible. And like, listen, Kevin O'Connor's had me on the show, and like I met Kevin at Summer League and everything like that. But when D-Lee for three had like his video on the difference between Paolo and Franz, and Kevin O'Connor like quote tweeted, and then D-Lee was like just roasted him in
I
response.
remember. I was like,
I
damn.
I followed him because I was like, that's so funny, man.
That's
And then I was like,
hilarious.
oh, he's great. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, no. So I did a couple of hits with him too. So that's I guess I made it more comfortable. But no, appreciate you having me on, man. So
Yeah.
keep up the good work.
He also
Everybody.
I don't know what he does for his like his UI. Like he publishes all those things. Like I don't know if he's good at coding
Yeah.
or programming or something to put. Or
Like
I
he
don't
made
know
that
if
website. I think he was telling me he coded himself, which is very impressive.
that's
Right?
impressive. Yeah.
And then he has these graphics. I think he works with someone else for the graphics, but like
Mm.
his content is actually like some of the best I've seen from Hawk.
Yeah.
So like yeah, if you guys want to follow him as well, D Lee for three is
Yeah.
a good guy on
It's
Twitter.
very impressive for just being a singular person. That's like, dude,
Yeah.
because I'm such a schlub. Like I did carpentry before this. I wasn't like, a lot of people go from doing like an office job to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so they're like really nice with Excel or graphics. And I'm just like, I can't do a lick of it, man. I could put the
Yeah.
siding on a house, but I don't know how to organize the Excel sheets or any.
Stuff,
Yeah.
yeah. Excel stuff, like I've learned a bit more. Like some videos, I have to like organize a bunch of stats I'm doing, but still, I just know the basic. That is the Excel gurus are like, yeah, real deal. They don't play about this Excel stuff. So,
Dude, they can turn like 6 hours of work into 6 minutes. It's so special.
yeah, it's crazy.
All right. Podcast. Everybody go follow Abdel on YouTube. Go subscribe. Go watch his video on CMB.
Yeah.
And go follow him on Twitter as well. I'll link everything in the description afterwards. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Everyone like, comment, subscribe. It helps the channel. All right, everybody.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Later.
Take care, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.